Coming up on Life and Death, Wealth Manager Robert Freitas with your long-term financial plan, Attorney Chris Austin on your estate plan, Amy Hain of Long-Term Liaisons advocating for your loved ones,
My help comes from the Lord. His understanding has no limit.
Brian Rushton of Pruitt Health with a hospice end-of-life plan, co-host Neil Gordon and sponsor co-host Walker Posey on pre-planning your funeral. The Life and Death program is presented by Posey Funeral Directors. For more information on planning, please visit poseycares.com. Here's our co-host, Walker Posey in North Augusta.
Hi, I'm Walker Posey, and welcome to today's program, Life and Death. It may seem odd that I'm coming to you from a cemetery, but this happens to be a very special place for me. My grandfather, my grandmother, my great-grandmother are all buried here on our family plot, and our family comes here to remember, honor, and reflect on those who've gone before us. Far too often we see families who come through this journey and have not had an opportunity to plan in advance. That's always a much more difficult experience to have. So today, we're going to discuss the 4 aspects of planning ahead: financial planning, estate planning, long-term care planning, and funeral planning. To do that, I've enlisted the help of my good friend Neil Gordon to help walk us through the journey of life and death.
You know, everybody tends to say, not me, I'm not going to be that guy that's going in the nursing home.
For financial advisor Robert Freitas, long-term planning is personal.
My own father-in-law, we were looking at a long-term care policy for him, and before he could get the policy, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and so he was never able to qualify and get long-term care.
And that became very costly?
It was a big problem for us later on. My mother-in-law just really had to become the full-time caretaker, and it just consumed a lot of her time and other folks in the family's time caring for him.
But the other alternative without LTC is also problematic.
The costs for long-term care are astronomical, and without really planning for those, you have to really deplete your assets.
Does the government help in those situations?
So there is a big misconception. A lot of people think that that Medicare will pay for long-term care,
right?
When in reality, there's just a very limited benefit that Medicare provides.
So at Freitas Wealth Management, a plan is put in place.
We have a process that we go through when trying to determine which type of policy is best for them. So we'll begin by looking at what income they have that they can use towards paying for long-term care if they need it. Then we try to determine the length of care that they may need,
with an eye on keeping your loved one at home for as long as possible.
It used to be that folks would get sick and wind up in a nursing home and use their long-term care policy that way. People nowadays are really trying to stay in their home a lot longer, where they're more comfortable. And so policies today are designed to pay for in-home care. So if you need someone just to maybe come in a couple hours a day to help with getting some meals together for you, getting a bath, things like that. Also, if you kind of advance and need additional, a little more care, it will pay for assisted living facilities. And then if you get to the point to where you need round-the-clock nursing care, then the policies will also pay for skilled nursing facilities.
Odds are a husband or wife turning 65 will need long-term care, and timing is everything. Robert, any particular age range where we should really think about getting long-term care insurance?
Yeah, so typically we find individuals applying for long-term care mostly in their 50s and early 60s.
Right about my time?
Yeah, exactly. So that's when it's really most affordable for them. So as you continue to wait, the cost of long-term care insurance continues to rise.
Yeah.
The other big thing about applying for long-term care early is the health of the individual. So as you get older, you become more at risk of having other chronic illnesses that would disqualify you for a long-term care policy.
Well, I think we've all been warned.
Yes.
I appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So Chris, if I were to come in your office as someone who doesn't have my affairs in order and need to make some preparations, what are the most important things I can do?
So the most important things you can do is you can come in and we can do a healthcare power of attorney, a general durable power of attorney, and a will.
The will, kind of, the purpose of that is just to detail my wishes and what I want to have done even after I pass away. What are some important parts of that, just one or two things that you think would be important to address?
So you're going to have to name an individual or someone to basically handle your affairs. That's going to be the personal representative. You're going to need to name who you want to get things. Are there specific things that those people are to get? Is it just split equally?
Sure.
Is it split, in some other fashion? It's going to be important to make sure that you, again, talk about disposition of your remains, whether that's cremains or your body.
Chris, I imagine that you see estates from very simple to super complicated. If my estate is if I have assets I want to protect, what are the things I need to do to make that happen before I pass away?
Generally speaking, asset protection is definitely something that you do in advance. You don't want to wait until there's lawsuits filed. You don't want to wait until death.
I hear the term trust all the time. Well, give me the basic purpose of a trust.
One of the basic purposes of the trust is to avoid probate, and that's in the majority of cases. It's also a private document, so unlike probate, your will's terms are out in the public, whereas with the trust, the terms are private. I had a very tragic situation occur where a surviving spouse walked into the office. She had minor children. The husband passed away, had no will. Well, the default in the statute is the surviving spouse shares 50-50 with the children. Well, she now owns a home with an 8-year-old. That's not a situation you want to be in, and there's a lot of things that you have to jump through to put her in a position where she can do what she needs to do.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that the point you've made today of the importance of communicating and having these conversations in advance, it makes things a lot easier. I mean, it's true with funeral planning as well. I think one of the themes of our show today has been just have the difficult conversation when it's not difficult to have.
That's right.
When there's no argument with the family, it's a lot easier to talk about issues than when there is a major argument, right? So,
for sure.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for your help today. Really
Thank you
appreciate it.
again.
Thanks, Chris.
Coming up on Life and Death, life coach Leslie Anderson on how we deal with grief in our own way, and later, a family advocate to help you through tough times.
And we are the face that memory care facility knows as her local go-to people.
God cares about you. Someone's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to pray for you. You can call or text. The number is 877-800-7729.
Our resource section at the bottom of the screen is a service of Pruitt Hospice, online at pruitthealth.com.
When it comes to hospice care, there's a certain level of dignity that only family can provide. Pruitt Health Hospice is family-owned. We work with patients and families to create end-of-life care plans that are tailored to each patient's specific needs. Our clinical team is available 24 hours a day. We serve with experience, professionalism, and respect.
I love hugs. I know. Hugs are the best. Oh, yes.
Pruitt Health Hospice, committed to caring.
I guess I would like them to hire a pianist to play all my favorite songs. Obviously Chopin, maybe a little Beethoven. You know, I dabble.
Welcome back to our Life and Death program.
Our Christian Coaching Minute is a service of A Better Tomorrow on North Bel Air Road in Evans and on Facebook at ABT Coaching.
Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about grief. Inevitably, there will be a point in your life where you're the one going through grief. Perhaps you're on the other side of it, Maybe it's a loved one that's grieving, and you just don't know where or how to support them. I remember a time in my own life when I was grieving, and I felt like no one understood. However, everyone around me thought they had the answer. I was dealing with infertility. I became frustrated and upset, and then everyone had an answer. You should try this, or you should do that. I specifically remember exactly where I was when I surrendered that prayer to God. I was in the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, and I lit a prayer candle, and I asked God to show me what the answer was. But I knew that I had to be open to whatever that answer was. I had to be okay with never being a mom. That was really hard, but I trusted in God's plan that day. Today, I'm the mother of a 12-year-old, and I know how incredibly blessed I am. Not everyone grieves on the same time frame, so just be there for them, be patient, and love them. Until next time, I'm Leslie Anderson with A Better Tomorrow.
Coming up, a liaison between your family and long-term health options. And later,
so when we tell people that people in hospice live 30 days longer, it really means we're giving them 30 more days of peace of mind to really get their affairs in order.
Celebrating, not being sad.
Always celebrating.
Yeah, definitely. Like this. Just like this.
Well, I wouldn't mind having a destination funeral.
A destination funeral.
Yeah,
That's
Italy would be cool. Everyone can have fun, you know? At my expense.
Yeah, who pays for this?
welcome back to our Life and Death program.
Amy Haynes spends a lot of her time communicating with clients, their service providers, and her staff.
Well, you can think of us as the middle of the wheel, actually. We have the expertise, the knowledge about what helps to bring the services together for our clients and their families. So for instance, we understand when a referral to an elder law attorney or a financial planner is appropriate. We understand how to interface with those professionals.
Sometimes it's long-distance help when an adult daughter cannot be there.
I live in Florida, 8 hours away, and as an only child, I really didn't have a support staff locally, and long-term liaisons has been my eyes and ears on the ground for the last 6 years.
She called and said she needed some assistance. At the time, Mom was still living in the home in Aiken, and I became involved, as did some of my other staff. And we visited Mom regularly every week for a few years.
My mom ended up having a stroke 2 years ago that required full-time care when she got out of the hospital.
So I helped Scotty transition Mom to a memory care facility. But we visit, either myself or one of the nurses that works for me visits every week, and we are the face that memory care facility knows as her local go-to people. Yes, they still call the daughter if Mom falls, for instance, or needs something medical, but we're the ones that are going to show up. We're the ones that are going to end up at the emergency room with her if need be. If she needs to go out for a doctor's appointment, we could go with her, and we do that with a lot of our clients.
Long-term liaisons can also help with general assessments and recommendations to the family.
Sometimes, though, we go further, and we've made recommendations or we've suggested during that assessment that they call other professionals, but they don't have the time, or they emotionally can't do it. So we help them through the transition. So maybe Mom has fallen and broken a hip. She's ended up in the hospital and then the nursing home for rehab. And all of a sudden, the adult daughter is here from out of town, and she is meeting with us, and she's realizing there is a lot of work to do between now and the 3 or 4 months to when Mom leaves the rehab facility and goes home. And does Mom need home health? How is that different from in-home care? Does Mom need hospice? Do we need to pull mom's attorney in, the financial planner in? What is the whole picture? And we help people through that process for 3 to 6 months.
And you can be objective.
Absolutely. We are not aligned with any other professionals in the community, though, as I said earlier, we interface with them regularly.
It is far more than just a client relationship.
We love and care about them similarly to how we care about our own families. And we do a lot of small tasks and large tasks to really enrich our clients' lives. We manage all of the details of their care so they get exceptional care. One of the ladies that works for me calls us the professional squeaky wheel, okay? And we are in a lot of ways. We go very deep into what our clients' needs are to make sure that all of the details are addressed and that nothing is left out.
Amy, thanks again for sharing the insight to try to help families in the CSRA.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
When is the appropriate time for someone to start thinking about hospice?
We tell everybody earlier the better. We find a lot of people wait till the last minute when it's too late. Then they're running around, don't have the peace of mind, don't have the education they need to make a sound decision based on hospice philosophy, hospice doctors, hospice care, who to go with.
Speak a little bit about the time someone would come onto hospice care.
That's what you have to be on hospice, is a prognosis to live life expectancy under 6 months. Everybody thinks it's a nurse and a CNA and a medical director maybe, but you actually have our whole interdisciplinary group or interdisciplinary team. Medicare allows us to have our medical director, licensed nurse, licensed CNA, chaplain, a licensed medical social worker, which not everybody uses a medical social worker. And you also have our volunteers, which can go in and call bingo, read to you, pet therapy, do all kind of different things that not everybody understands. It's not always about just the medical side of hospice.
Who pays for hospice? How does that work?
We have a multitude of different ways to look at it. Of course, your primary is Medicare, and most of the time when you're on Medicare, it is 100% covered at home. Medicaid also pays for a decent amount of that. Sometimes it has to deal with your Social Security income and parts of your funding that they'll take some of that. It just depends how much you make based on how many bills you have, if you own property. So there's a different variety when you look at Medicaid. There's also commercial insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. They cover it if your deductible's met. And then of course you can do private pay.
What you see many times is that patients end up coming on hospice and don't even have to pay out of pocket for it. So most of the time insurances and Medicare and Medicaid can handle it.
Correct.
You know, my grandparents were on hospice in their life, and I can't tell you what a blessing it was for us to be able to focus on spending time with them and knowing they were comfortable and having those last few weeks or whatnot be kind of meaningful and special.
It's a godsend.
Nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm.
I mean, we really provide that end-of-life care for people. What we talk about a lot with, even in my business, and you say your grandparents, my mom was on it, is we talk about peace of mind, right? You shouldn't be running around trying to figure out medicines, figure out equipment, figure out who's paying for this. You should let somebody who is the experts come in and talk to you about all that.
If I'm a family member and I have a loved one who I think may be getting close to needing hospice care, how do I go about facilitating that?
It's never too early to get educated on when. Remember, it's when they don't call to get education is when we fail somebody.
And perhaps even, when there's declining health in general, you're not exactly sure of life expectancy, it's probably just fine to begin, like you said, call a few hospices, ask around, get some education.
We do a lot in the community, and what we tell people is if you start to see somebody who's missing events, maybe somebody's not going to church every day or every Sunday anymore, maybe they've not gone to the senior center or going to work out at Silver Sneakers. When you start seeing people miss and family members miss, something's going on with them. It may not have that, they may not have that terminal diagnosis yet, but something is going on with their health.
What is someone's life expectancy on hospice versus off hospice? Do you have any stats on that?
People on hospice live an average of 30 days longer. Give that in perspective to your family member. 3 brothers live in New York, Florida, can't get down here to see mom every day. Well, guess what? That gives them 30 more days to make those planning arrangements. A lot like in your business where, you know, you see the struggle of the last minute adjustments they have to make. So when we tell people that people in hospice live 30 days longer, it really means we're giving them 30 more days of peace of mind to really get their affairs in order.
Well, you do a great job. Thanks for your ministry and your help, your professionalism.
We love it.
We appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I know that, you know, hospice is an important topic, and we really want folks to know that they can get information and they can seek education before they make a decision.
Definitely, education is a lot of what we do.
Coming up, Neil and Walker have a difficult talk about losing a loved one.
Death is already the most stressful event we can go through, and so when you put on top of that having to make many decisions, it really becomes a stressful situation.
But I want everybody to have a really good time and lie like mad about me and tell all kinds of good stories, all the women to weep, all the guys to say he was a good guy, yada yada, and then in the words of the song, I'll pass and be forgotten like
GMC is actually giving me the opportunity to get the BAS in supervision and management.
I feel like their program really prepares you to take the next step onto a university.
My degree in criminal justice at Georgia Military College was the pathway for me going into the Coast Guard.
Start here, go anywhere.
Find the best solution for your business or office today. It's as easy as a swipe of the finger with over 100,000 items available. Best Office Solutions team has been serving Georgia for over 15 years. From furniture and promotional products to coffee and paper towels. Got an event? Call Best. Best Office Solutions has everything you need for the office except for the people. Need a remodel? Contact Best Office Solutions to redesign your space today. Visit us at bestofficesolutions.com or call 877-533-BEST.
Our resource section at the bottom of the screen is a service of Pruitt Hospice, online at pruitthealth.com.
When it comes to hospice care, there's a certain level of dignity that only family can provide. Pruitt Health Hospice is family-owned. We work with patients and families to create end-of-life care plans that are tailored to each patient's specific needs. Our clinical team is available 24 hours a day. We serve with experience, professionalism, and respect.
I love hugs.
I know, hugs are the best.
Oh, yes.
Pruitt Health Hospice, committed to caring.
Welcome back to our Life and Death program.
Walker, we end our program where we began, here at the Sunset Hill Cemetery in North Augusta. Out of curiosity, for every 10 families that walk into the funeral home on Georgia Avenue, how many are coming to you after the fact as opposed to in advance?
You know, Neil, I would say probably less than half of our families have actually made preparation in advance.
Pretty stressful for them?
Absolutely. I mean, death is already the most stressful event we can go through, and so when you put on top of that having to make many decisions, both you know, social and financial decisions, it really becomes a stressful situation.
Any family recently you can remember that you helped that did come in advance?
Absolutely. Just last week I had the opportunity to sit down with a lovely couple who came in advance, and we had a great conversation, spent a couple of hours together. When they left, all the details were planned for, all the financial preparations had been made, and they left truly feeling like a burden had been lifted off their shoulders.
What kind of step-by-step process did you go through?
You know, it's important first to decide what we're going to do with our physical remains when we die. So we're going to choose burial or cremation. If we're going to choose cremation, what's going to happen to those remains? Will they be in the ground or scattered or in a niche? Also, it's important to talk about the event. You know, what kind of ceremony, what kind of event do we want to have? Is it religious? Is it non-religious? Is it a combination? Are we going to have food and beverage? Are we going to have, you know, music? All those type of things we discuss and walk through. So really, we're going to help you plan the funeral event, both the religious element and the family gathering element while we discuss these things.
Is there a cost difference, someone coming to you today versus
if a loved one passes away several years down the line?
You know, Neil, when people decide to plan and pay in advance and make those financial preparations, we actually guarantee that the price they pay today will not increase when they actually pass away.
Even with inflation?
Even with inflation. So when they pay today's price, we put that on a guaranteed contract so that they don't have any additional costs in the future. It's a way to make sure that when you live 20, 30, 40 years down the line, there's no additional cost.
Any other kinds of options you can think of when you're having a nice conversation with someone?
Posey, we really want to discover who you are in life, because we want to plan meaningful events and celebrations. We want to make sure those things are very personal. So the more I can know you now, the more helpful it is for me in planning the event that will help your family and those left behind feel better. That's the purpose of what we do, is to really help those who are left behind deal with and feel better after they lose a loved one. So we want to facilitate the community gathering together and coming together to support your family.
Sure. And a next step for one of our viewers watching to get a little more information?
You know, we have a dedicated site where we have all kinds of advanced planning resources there, and also just reach out and give us a call. We're happy to sit down and talk to you anytime.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks, Neil. Been great.
Appreciate you presenting this program. I think it'll help a lot of folks.
Most happy to.
Closed captioning for the hearing impaired is a service of Be Still Displays, with approximately 20 digital billboards in the CSRA. They're available to help your company or church grow with a flexible approach. Visit BeStillDisplays.com. The Life and Death program has been presented by Posey Funeral Directors. For more information on planning, please visit PoseyCares.com.
Georgia Military College will give you that opportunity to get one-on-one attention with faculty members.
I work full-time. I go to school at Georgia Military College. I'm a mother and I'm a wife.
I love Georgia Military College because I started my education there, I work there, and I plan to retire at Georgia Military College.
Start here, go anywhere.
At Best Office Solutions, we take pride in taking care of your business. Unlike most office supply companies, we offer free research tailored to your facility's needs, so you can focus on what's important, running your business. Our staff is dedicated to finding creative solutions that increase productivity and can help you design your workspace. Best is flexible and can work with your schedule. Call us today for your free consultation and to become a member of the Best Office Solutions family. Best Office Solutions, everything you need for your business, except the people.
At a time of grief, it's very difficult to make decisions. And so when families come in advance and discuss these things, these hard questions with us, they feel, I think, less pressure, and they have a better opportunity to step back and process slowly what might be best for them, both emotionally and financially. And we really want to help families make good decisions on both fronts.